Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Brokers Traders Tea Time with me, Darius Unushauskas. Today's the 6th of July 2018. So first of all, guys, do apologize for the late start. So my colleague was running a video before me, so yep. So hopefully now we can go ahead with it. And yeah, so before we continue looking at a few instruments that I kind of picked and I believe it's worthwhile to have a look at. So, but before we do that, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So the content of this webinar does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. Also, just a very quick reminder of our JFD Brokers research page, where you can go in and have a look at different analysis that we do on a daily basis. We throw out different trading shoutouts, and of course we produce our daily analysis every morning. So yep, feel free to check us out, guys, and I think you can find something useful for yourselves. But for now, let's quickly have a look at a few charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on is the Dow. Now, certainly yesterday we saw this daily candle closing in the positive zone. Well, throughout the whole week, to be honest, we had some mixed trading here, but the most important what we can see here is that this 200 EMA kind of continues to hold the price down, and it cannot really go over it. Well, it goes over it, but never closes above it. So for now, certainly keep an eye on this one. Let's see how this day is gonna close and where we're gonna finish off the week. Now, if we look at the weekly candle here, we can see that currently we are still in the positive zone, but nevertheless, like I said, everything could change today, and we could maybe decline here. And for example, right now you can see on the cash market, the Dow is slightly below its closing price. It's yesterday's closing price, so we could probably open up in the red a little bit. So yeah, guys, I mean, for now, keep an eye on it. Certainly on the slightly bigger picture here, we can see that we are stuck here between these two key levels, so the 24,575 and the psychological 24,000. Now this is quite an interesting range that the index is within, so certainly for us to kind of try to position ourselves for a longer time, for a longer trade, which we would run for, let's say, a few days or weeks even. That we would need to see either a nice break here above this area here, the 24,575, or actually a break below the psychological 24,000, where we could, if we do get a break here below, then we could eventually aim for this, a test of this long-term upwards moving trend line here that has been running here since around the 9th of February. So very good area to watch. Certainly keep an eye on this one, but let's say to position ourselves from a slightly shorter term perspective, certainly this is how it looks like right now on the 4-hour chart. Now we can see that we do have this little small upwards moving trend line here. Now certainly if we get a move lower here today and we start breaking this one to the downside, well, it is opening the path toward this lower side of the range that I was talking about, and which is the psychological 24,000. So good level to watch, but only, like I said, only if we get a nice break here on the 4-hour chart, on a 4-hour chart here, a break below this slightly upwards moving support line. On the upside, well, for us to kind of consider a move towards this upper side of the range, we would need to see a nice move here above these highs that we had here on the 3rd of July, which is approximately around the 24,440, or you could even round it up to the 450 for better confirmation, because a nice pop here above could send this index towards this 24,575 that I was just talking about. So keep an eye on this one, guys. Keep an eye on today's trading action, and yeah, we could potentially squeeze something out of it. Let's have a look at WTI quickly. And WTI, first of all, let's put a daily chart here, and let's see what's happening with this one. And certainly for now, we are seeing this move here below this key area of support that we had at around 72.90. Certainly the day is not finished yet, but at the moment it's not really looking good, because let's put a weekly here, and we can see that the weekly is turning negative right now, so we might end up closing this week in the red zone. So for now, keep a close eye on this 72.90, guys. So very good, important area to watch. If we do get a close here, then probably next week we could expect a bit of more declines, maybe actually even going back towards this upwards moving trend line that we had here. We could maybe end up testing that. So for now, this is it's turning out to be quite bearish, and yep, I mean, if for us to kind of become more bullish on this one, we would need to see a nice move back above this 72.90 area, and then eventually maybe a nice break above this key area of resistance at around 75.25 mark, approximately there. So keep a close eye on this one. Could be something interesting for next week. Let's quickly touch on euro dollar, and the euro dollar is pushing up nicely. So as you probably are aware, we had some nice well, figures, NFP figures here coming out, certainly, but they also came out with some worse than expected unemployment number. So worse than expected unemployment number, but to be honest, like I said, the NFP figure was better than expected. So, and this is kind of, it was enough for the euro dollar to shoot up here, break this 117.250 area that I was talking about in my previous videos. And now, of course, all eyes are in today's close, and let's see where this is going to close. Certainly, if it's going to close above this 117.250, we could expect some further continuation to the upside next week, where we could be aiming for the 118.400 level, potentially here, potentially this area right here. So good area to watch, and of course it would all depend on how today's day is going to close on this one. So probably recommendation is to stay sharp here, be careful, and yep, keep an eye on today's close. Now let's quickly have a look at Aussie dollar, and the Aussie dollar had a nice pop here through the upper side here. Let me just put a 4-hour chart. Now probably it will be easier to have a look at this one. So initially, during the NFP numbers, when the NFP numbers came out, we had a nice pop here to the upside. We managed to reach this area of resistance here at around 0.74450, but we can see that the bears are kind of pushing back the rate, and certainly all eyes are on this area right here at around 0.74150, approximately there. Now if we're going to stay above this, then there's still hope for the bulls to kind of drive this one back higher here. But to be honest, if this is going to get back down here, and let's say the day is going to close below this level here, below the 0.74150, then well, we could end up moving towards this short-term upwards moving support line here, where we could get a test, and eventually, of course, we will have to just evaluate it right there and see if it wants to break it to the downside or not. So for now, guys, keep a close eye on this level right here, the 0.74150. And one last pair that I really wanted to touch on, guys, is the USD CAD. Now the USD CAD certainly showed some weakness today during the NFP numbers, and we saw this move lower here. We broke this little range here that I was talking about, and we broke it to the downside. We managed to make a move here, touch the 130.850 approximately there, just a few pips shy of the 200 EMA that you can see here on the 4-hour chart. And now, of course, we are testing this 131.250 again. Certainly the question here is, are we going to stay below today, or actually are we going to stay inside this little tight range here? Now at the moment it's not really looking good. We might continue moving lower here. Certainly if the day is going to close below this level, then well, we could maybe going into next week we could see a bit of continuation to the downside here, where we could potentially start aiming for this 130,500 level, a very good area to watch. It acted as a nice area of resistance here in the end of May and the beginning of June. So this time, well, I mean, guess what? Probably is going to act as a very good area of support. So consider that level if we get a nice close here below this 131,250 today. Okay, guys, I'll have to wrap it up here. I hope you found it useful. Certainly keep an eye on these pairs that I've just mentioned to you. And yep, if you want to join me tomorrow on Monday morning, Traders Espresso at 6 o'clock GMT time, 7 o'clock British Summer Time. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and bye bye.